Dozens of classic car lovers caught up in heartbreak and anger.
Pretty mad.
They're out a lot of money after police seized their vintage treasures.
Very maddening that you would just have something taken from you.
How to guard against buying stolen cars.
Otherwise, there are no protections.
Jonathan Gatehouse breaks down how all of these vehicles are connected and how they got in the hands of unsuspecting collectors.
Nice to look at and fun to drive, but for the people that own them, they're much more than machines.
See how the bumper is split? That's why they call it an RS split bumper.
So in 1958, which was the big year for chrome, so these are actually airplane seat belts.
Is there one thing about this car that you like more than everything else?
It's mine.
They call them classic cars, but they're more like passion projects. Supercharged engines of nostalgia, requiring lots of time and money. So when they're suddenly taken away, it hurts.
And Jonathan, this is the empty bay of the garage where the car used to sit.
Mona Evoy and her husband Wayne are still mourning the loss of their 1934 Ford Coupe and all it represented.
Wayne's wanted one of those his whole life. He's had a few things that he's wanted, and it was meant for him to take me to get ice cream. Yeah, just to go for nice drives at night and on the weekends, and just something to enjoy now that the kids were grown and we had time for ourselves and wanted to do something together.
So sort of date night?
Yeah.
What was going through your mind when the cop shows up at your door and says, "This is a stolen car"?
Pure disappointment for my husband, because he was going to lose what he loved. It was shocking, it was disappointing, it was very upsetting, very maddening that you would just have something taken from you.
But it's not like someone had snatched the EVOYS Ford off the street. Last December, a classic car dealer went to Ontario Provincial Police to complain that more than 200 of his vehicles had been stolen by a business partner. The ownerships transferred using forged documents over a period of 4.5 years, with many of the cars then sold on to unsuspecting consumers. In late May, police charged 2 men with theft and have been busy since repossessing vehicles from people's garages and driveways. What was it? What went through your mind? What was your reaction?
Pretty mad.
Yeah, I bet.
Just hang on.
Yeah, sure. Take your time. Even months later, Wayne Evoy can barely contain himself. He wonders how police could threaten him with possession of stolen property charges over a vehicle he had legally registered, plated, and insured for years, and why no one will compensate him for the more than $40,000 he spent buying and fixing his vintage Ford.
Why go buy a seller's package and go through all the bullshit, and then 3 years later your car gets taken? That makes no sense absolutely to me. Get the car appraised, go through all the stuff. Make about 3 trips there, get it appraised again after you do a bunch of work to it, switch it over into your name, get the seller's package, put insurance on it, pay all the tax on it, and there you go. 3 years later, say, oh, that car was stolen. Huh, that makes you kind of wonder.
The OPP won't say how many cars they've seized, but a Facebook group is filled with dozens of angry posts from former owners, all of them looking for answers. All right, can I speak to Robert Bradshaw, please? CBC News spoke to one of the men charged. He declined an on-camera interview, but suggested the tale is not as simple as police have alleged.
Can't really say because of what's going to happen at the end of the road here. We have an ace in our pocket, I'll say that.
CBC News also reached out to the victim, Larry Grogan of Grogan Classics. Both he and his lawyer turned down our interview requests and declined to answer written questions. To date, police have returned 45 of his vehicles. The head of the province's vehicle sales watchdog says her organization can do nothing for the former owners because the men who sold them the stolen vehicles were not registered dealers, denying the owners access to OMVIC's $8 million compensation fund.
Make sure you're dealing with an OMVIC registered dealer. Take those few extra seconds, go to our website, enter the name of the seller, and make sure you're dealing with that OMVIC registered dealer. Otherwise, there are no protections, regretfully.
A bit of bureaucracy that makes former owners even angrier.
Here you go.
as their dream machines slip through their fingers.
Jonathan, what do police have to say about all of this?
Well, actually, very little, Ian. We requested interviews with the lead investigators, and the OPP turned us down, and they declined to answer our written questions as well, or provide us with basic facts about this case, like the exact number of vehicles involved, or how many they've seized so far, or even the overall number of stolen cars the force has recovered so far this year. The OPP simply told us that it would be inappropriate to comment as the matter is before the courts. We know that they did arrest a third man in connection with this case last week, charging him with theft, fraud, and forgery. But it's all a sharp contrast to last spring when the OPP made their initial arrests and sent out a press release, as well as photos and video of the 45 cars that they had recovered at that time.
Jonathan Gatehouse in Toronto. Up next, another